Alright, here's some more email shares that you guys are going to receive while I'm away. Who knows where I am by now, today, what I'm doing. Probably filming, getting wet, getting sweaty, or getting dirty, whatever, all the above. Yeah. Every once in a while we receive some emails from people who have done some knowledge seeking. Some may not be interested, some may think it's foolish, some may not. Some people might find it absolutely interesting, which I do. But above all, don't forget, take from these what you will or leave it. Alright? That's all you have to do. If you knee-jerk to spread your own personal misery upon the world, maybe try not to. Alright? Because it is a big waste of time. And all you're doing in the end is just screaming to the world that you're absolutely failing at this ride called life currently. But you can turn it around. You can always turn it around. Now listen to this. Sabe is just a small part of the bigger truths. That is the title of the email, and I can't agree more. I've said that from day one. The Sasquatch, Sabe, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it. This is probably one of the easiest topics to deliver to the people to prove absolutely that we're being misled and lied to. Anyways, moving along with the email. Here we go. Hello, Steve. First, I'd like to say how thankful I am for the work you are doing. It is work that must be done if the people are ever to be free. When on the search for truth, always remember to bring your courage. You never know what you're going to find. Thanks, Steve, for your courage. It gives the people hope. Thank you for those kind and supportive words, my man. That's very, very kind. We're living in some dark times. Knowledge is a kept secret. And those who know or those who dare to question have been driven to the edge of civilization or worse. Throughout our false written history, knowledge has always been kept from the slave race. Today is no different. Our masters hide in the shadow, puppeteering the house slaves who are the 1%. Steve, the Sabe are just a small part of the bigger truths. You want to know who they are, but most men still ask, who am I? Without knowing oneself, how can one hope to understand the thousands, possibly millions, of other entities who live on Earth and call her home, not to mention travelers that come to explore her beauty? The Earth is and has been for millions of years an intergalactic, interdimensional space station. Earth's current rulers are dark ones, but there are many portals and ways to get to Earth. The dark ones can't guard them all, so Earth continues much as it has with comings and goings, and all the while the dark ones keep humans blinded and confused, cut off from themselves and all the world. The eternal question when seeking is, who am I? If you knew who you were, then you'd know who they were, Sabe are. Then they could trust you and not look at you with fear. The powers that be have been busy doing many dark things, one of which is cutting humans off from all that they are, putting fluoride in drinking water, calcifying the pineal gland, which is your connection to all the other worlds, your ancestors and your past lives. It is the connection to your soul. Humans are organic computers. Our DNA is programmed with O's and ones. There is already an internet that spans the universe. The ancients called this place, the spirit world. You must connect if you are to ever truly know. Decalcify your pineal gland. Practice astral body meditation. Go and with a humble heart find the elders. Some still remember, and there are some who can set upon you the path. When the student is ready, the master will appear. I heard you say, Steve, in one of your videos that we live many lives, but it is awakening to that which has lived those lives, that which you truly are. Gaia is shifting into higher frequencies, and soon there will be a great awakening. This is what the dark ones fear, the people waking up. These dark ones have created their own internet. This low-frequency weapon attacks our mind, body, and soul. Now a global virus, which they too created, produces more fear, also keeping our frequencies low. The vaccines they are giving us now are more of a just the same, dulling our senses and will. All the world is their stage. Media and politics are their tools. Lust and fear, their concubine. Let them struggle. They're desperate now. Their time is almost up. Have faith, my family, and hold on tight. We must travel through darkness to get to the light. Mitakeyue, Oisen, and Hokahe. Poem 1. Awakening to find the night not so dark and the silence not so quiet. As I take a moment to reflect upon the things I now feel, I come to realize the veil is gone again. Stretching forth my limbs, taking all things in, this is where my journey begins. Remembering I can see without my eyes and feel without my skin. As the memories of the past flow into the present, I can see the future, and as this great trinity unites within me, I come to understand all is as it is supposed to be, and this great destruction, which is happening in this time of darkness, will soon end. As night turns to day and the shadows will recede, and a new day, a new age will begin. Manly P. Hall sums up the rest of what I've had to say today. Quote, "We are citizens of eternity. We are the very life that in the beginning moved upon the face of the deep. We are that shining power that walked in the garden with the Lord. And we are the seraphim and the cherubim and the choirs of the ineffable. We are not gods. We are God exiled for a little while into the forgetfulness of ourselves, yet soon to awaken to the full measure of our splendor." End quote. Quote, "Only in truth is there sufficiency, only in reality is there power. The unity of life is man's great truth. All else is of little moment. We are immortal, and that our souls tomorrow may be at peace, let us rebuild our civilization. Let us establish our government of realities, our commonwealth of the wise. We as citizens of today are also the citizens of tomorrow. We are the life that shall throb in the communities yet to come, and we are the voice that shall speak in the senates of an unborn day. To that great life which is our true self, to that tomorrow which to us must ever be the now, let us dedicate our inner selves and achievements of our external natures." End quote. Keep up the good fight. Gaia bless. Here's a note. "Hello, Steve. I'd like to say how thankful I am for the work you're doing. It is work that must be done if the people..." Oh, I already read that part. All right, man. All right, thank you. Thank you for that message, that email. And this is definitely going to strike a chord with many listening right now, and it's also going to confuse many listening right now as well. So I will leave you with the end of that email is take from it what you will, or leave it. But make sure you listen to every single person that comes here to share with us, all right? Everyone's voice needs to be heard, and that is how we are going to get to our truth. Now, what else do we have here? "My last camping trip" is the title of this email. "Hello, my name is Jacob. I live in West Virginia. I heard a story similar to my experience on your YouTube channel. This will be my first time sharing my encounter. One year I went camping with my girlfriend before she left to visit her mom in Florida. We were camping at a creek by my house, far enough in the bush I doubt anyone could hear us scream. Everything was going great until we fell asleep. Around 3 o'clock in the morning, my girlfriend woke me up scared shitless with tears in her eyes. She said, 'Babe, there's someone outside our tent.' I thought, who in the hell would be this deep in the bush at 3 o'clock in the morning? I noticed everything was dead silent. I heard heavy breathing along with footsteps. This thing sounded out of breath. Instantly, the hair stood up all over my body. These footsteps were definitely from something walking on 2 feet. Heavy footsteps at that. Anyway, I asked her what was going on, and she said she was woke up because she heard something and thought it was me, until she felt me next to her, and that's when she said, saw a shadow cross between our tent and the dim camp light, the dim campfire. It picked up my hatchet up off of a log and tossed it into the creek. We were then interrupted by what sounded like rocks being smacked together. Then, this is what really got me shook up. We heard a whistle that sounded melodic, but no human could sound like this. I can't describe it too well, but it's forever stuck in my head. Whatever this thing was had to be close, anywhere from 15 to 20 feet. I decided we would run to my house. I should mention my nearest neighbor is 2 miles down the road from my house. I'm actually tearing up just thinking about this experience as I write you. I got out of the tent, looked around, and didn't see a damn. I heard a log snap that sounded like a gunshot followed by a tree being pushed over. That's when I told my girlfriend we should go now. We left everything and ran, falling and stumbling in the pitch black. This thing was following us. When we'd stop, it would stop. Eventually, we got back to my house and talked about what had just happened. We were in shock. I'd say an hour later, my back spotlight was triggered, followed by a big bang on my window, This thing was fast. We eventually called the police and made a report after they searched around the house. I'm a hunter and an avid outdoorsman. This was nothing I'd ever experienced in 24 years. If you need more information, I could send you a copy of the police report. We never told anyone about this, not even my daughter. But I'm very wary when it comes to her playing outside and eventually put a fence up. This experience was so traumatizing that I didn't go back for my tent or equipment until 4 to 5 months later. When I arrived, everything was scattered, and a 4-man tent was upside down and broken beyond all recognition. Thank you, and we appreciate what you're doing for people, and parents need to be aware there's something going on. All right. Jacob, thanks for that email. And yes, there is something going on, and yes, parents need to be made aware, and yes, parents need to speak openly to their children and inform them honestly, because nobody else is going to do it. Trust me. Nobody else is going to do it. Can I explain why it is these things do these things to us, and especially at nighttime? I haven't a clue. Why do they always usually choose after dark? I haven't a clue. When you're that big, that skilled, that intimidating, and outclass us little weird humans that much, I do not know why they prefer to take the advantage over darkness than they do light. I really don't get it. But here's another one. Thanks for writing in, man. And if you want to send in any more to help the people, you think it'll help the people, go ahead. All right? You're very welcome to just keep it flowing. Oh, all right. Dear Steve, okay. A mere 3 on a scale of 10 interest in rocks being thrown. Yep. Lukewarm interest in this part of the topic, I'd say, and that's just about right. But building a support system for all the people out here who have had and who will have very troubling experience or a potentially life-impairing or crippling experience of life-changing fear or worse to the level of clinical PTSD, and that way too many people have already experienced this, is the real focus. So, of course, it's all real. But can you actually get over the facts in, folks? Steve was and is not motivated by becoming a fascinating folklore or exotic entertainment-oriented channel either, period. Nor is his channel topic being presented primarily as one of the fascinating, perplexing mysteries of life-type orientations. And if that's weird to you, or even disappointing to you, then that's really funny and ironic then, isn't it? Rather, we simply are being presented here with a brand new fundamental opportunity to learn how to reinterpret and reorient to something very different in our life learning. Differently, which is also ironic. All this is in a basically new and different moral compass type orientation for far too many people. So it's all about caring about how people really feel, folks. And an opportunity to learn how to see something odd completely differently for many of us right here in our actual day-to-day living opportunity along with others. Read the next sentence as you, Steve, look up into the camera while reading and say, "Don't you get it, folks? LOL. Can we just all pause, please, reflect, and please reconsider learning to reset our existing beliefs and adjust our basic viewpoints, please?" Well, that's kind of ironic. This is one of the very few times I'm reading without the camera on, isn't it? There you go, I read it. It's not about how many rocks have been thrown at him or even more so anyone else. And it's not even about our personal earth-changing realization that these relatively unknown peoples are indeed just as real as you or I, or maybe even more so. So isn't that an interesting idea? So please get beyond the basic 101 level of belief versus disbelief as soon as possible, because there are many people out there who are in serious need of, and more will be in need of, real, substantial, psychological, and emotional support and help in dealing with the trauma of unexpectedly seeing or encountering one of these relatively unacknowledged and shockingly different looking and acting people and beings. And almost as importantly, that there are indeed commonly unacknowledged, radically different types of peoples living and roaming freely in and out of our woods and deserts that our governments and learned scientists won't widely acknowledge, and very importantly, why not? And that some of them even pass in and out of other dimensions and have supernatural capabilities. Sure, it's something to think about. But, yeah, okay, it's probably not more fascinating than the rumored reports among Steve's buddies that Steve eats tofu for lunch and dinner. and that his girlfriend just skips slightly through the forest to bring it to him whenever he often forgets it after spending all night at her place. Lucky son of a bitch. Okay, that was kind of funny. But seriously, I only write this to give Steve a break and having to repeat these all too new ideas for many over and over again for the rest of the life of his channel. LOL. So, love you, Steve. Laugh my ass off. All in the power of God. Edmund, thanks for that email, my man. Thank you for the support and the words to the people. I hope they listen. I hope they pick up what you're saying, because I do. Mark this one as read so I don't get shit on, although I get shit on no matter what. Here we go. Hi, Steve. Thanks for all you're doing for us. It feels really good to be heard and, most importantly, believed. Sometime back, you asked if it was possible to see through others' eyes. First Nations culture says that in the spirit, one can see the past, present, and future. After experiencing the following events, one First Nations man made me a believer. I've been a healthcare professional for 36 years. From 2005 to 2010, I was working in a small hospital in the central UP of Michigan. Mid-2008, I met a man named Roger Bell, now deceased. He clearly identified as a First Nation, so I asked him about his tribe and his native name. He stated that he was White Wolf, a firekeeper of the Potawatomi tribe. I brought him back to the waiting area where he started to speak native to a younger man. He pointed to me and said the phrase, "Watch Joe win." I asked what was said. He stated that I was named and introduced to his son. I asked how I could be named without having a vision, and the translation. He stated that the Spirit reveals what I do, and I am now Roaring Rapids. My second encounter with him, Roger was happy, content, and wanted to talk about the grandfathers. The grandfathers know all, see all. Not many are left. You walk through them. They have laid over peacefully. Roger, can you please tell me what a grandfather is? He stated they are massive white pine trees. No logging, only old age and lightning take them down. You walk over the long, narrow mounds where their springs bubble out of the ground. At this point, Steve, I was getting some serious goosebumps. This location is very remote. No road or trail, just good old-fashioned compass-bearing navigation. My third encounter with him was brief. I believe his terminal condition was taking its toll. Sometime around the first week of May in 2009, I saw Roger one last time. On Friday, a First Nation co-worker informed me that he had been admitted. I went up to visit with him. Although I had 100 questions to ask, he was clearly too weak for any of that. He did say a couple of things in the spirit that really got my attention. The first thing was about love. He said that my love is water on the rocks. The sound is so beautiful, it cannot be described. The second thing was about the grandfathers. He kept repeating that he was going where I go, to see the grandfathers, young and old. The next morning I headed out to the woods and decided to make a loop, 200 to 300 yards around my hunting area. I knew that I would be able to see more in the thick areas because the leaves were not full yet. I came across a winter deer kill that was picked clean. It had to have been some tough wet going, so I decided to do a half circle to higher ground and take my safe out southeast heading. While checking my compass, wind direction, and sun position, I noticed a lone white pine about 25 feet high. I could not see the mature seed tree. I started to scan the horizon and make wide circles around the tree. About 40 yards out, I saw the top of a massive white pine. I went back to the young tree, took a compass bearing to the large one. They were about 100 yards apart, and there was 2 places where I could see them both at the same time. I've had at least a dozen encounters / incidents with Sasquatch beings within 500 yards of this location. In my humble opinion, I believe First Nations, sacred native lands, and Sasquatch are all connected. I hope that my account of Roger Bell was not disrespectful to the First Nations communities. I also would like to encourage them to comment on how to pass safely and respectfully through sacred native lands. I did a little digging to check myself. Leatherneck.com shows that Roger Bell was a Marine and a retired law enforcement officer. He passed away Saturday evening on the 9th of May 2009 after a lengthy illness. I will always wonder if he was a medicine man. God bless you, Steve, and thanks again for all you're doing. Respectfully, Larry Hinsala. Larry, thanks for that. Thanks for that email into the people, man. Absolutely enjoyed reading it to everybody, sharing it, And without a doubt, those connections you question exist, but they also go a lot further, where we are all connected. We are all connected, all of us and everything. I'm an absolute firm believer. No one's left out unless you choose to be left out, as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, moving along to another one. Summer of 1979. I see the following story has nothing to do with Sasquatch, but a story you may find interesting nonetheless. It was summer of 79. My dad and I were on the back road somewhere on the shores of Georgian Bay, where we were hauling a trailer full of crap to the dump when we came across something in the middle of the road I'll never forget. Ahead of us there was a car stopped on the opposite side of the road with its hazard lights flashing, and a person standing beside a huge mound of what looked like dirt blocking both lanes. As we got closer, I remember the look on my dad's face. Holy F! It was a living, breathing Ankylosaurus, or so I thought. It was a snapping turtle. My dad estimates around 500 to 600 pounds in weight, and a shell of approximately 5 feet in diameter. I never knew such a thing existed, and as far as I know, they do not grow anywhere near that size. We got out of the truck and walked up to this thing. I could see the other guy on the opposite side of the turtle was stunned, mouth agape. He didn't even acknowledge our presence. You could see underneath the mud and vegetation still in his shell, numbers and letters, kind of like serial numbers, painted on its shell. People know of this giant ancient creature, and they've been tracking it for a long time. I assume by MNR or someone else. Spikes 3 inches tall along the spine and perimeter of his shell. Spikes 5 inches tall at the tip of the tail, tapering down to 2 inches at the base. 1-inch spikes forming its eyebrows. It's an image that has burnt into my brain since the age of 7. The three of us stood there and watched this thing lumber its way into the thick swamp. My younger brother, who works for the government, MNR, could not find a shred of info on this turtle/Ankylosaurus, but there are 3 people I know who have seen it for sure, and whoever painted those tracking numbers on his shell. That's my story. Needless to say, I always look twice before diving in Georgian Bay. Feel free to use my name. In best regards, Dwight Riley. Dwight, that is the first time I've ever read anything even remotely close to what you shared with us. I haven't a clue about any other history of that story or sightings from anybody else, but it sure sounds absolutely crazy and insane to see something like that in their frickin' road today. So let's possibly hope that maybe someone else out there is absolutely familiar with this, and if they are, well, you know what we're going to say next. Email it into us and share what you know, all right? Because that is absolutely something else, and of course, everybody's going to say, why don't you take a damn picture, right? So, out of those, I don't know how many people see the thing in the front of the road, nobody has anything to take a photo of. It sounds a little odd, a little off, but I've seen a lot of crazy shit and never took a photo myself either. So, anyway, if anybody out there has anything they want to add to that, email it back in, all right? That is one hell of a sight to share. Moving along, here we go again. Hey Steve, hope you share this. As the man who shared this encounter with me has passed on, and I know he would like to help others if he can. All right, consider it done. This encounter happened in the Cascades in Oregon during, I believe, the late 80s, early 90s. He had been a forest ranger for about 15 years at this point and was checking a few sites in the mountains for reasons I don't remember. What do I remember in detail was that he crested a ridge in the mountains. He saw a very large hairy being scratching its back against an old-growth Douglas fir in a side-to-side motion. My friend froze the moment he saw the Sasquatch. He watched in disbelief as it scratched its back on the tree, glanced in his direction, and quickly walked out of sight behind some other trees. All told, he saw it for only a few seconds. After a minute or two, he walked over to the tree it was scratching its back on and found a wad of hair stuck to the bark. After checking the tree for a height comparison, it was over 8 feet tall and cinnamon brown. He took the hair sample back to his house and then made a brilliant decision. He would send it in for DNA analysis, but only about half of the hair he pulled off the tree. He sent the sample and included a letter to a facility that specializes in wildlife DNA evidence in poaching and animal smuggling crimes. In the letter, he said he saw a larger animal scratching itself against a pine tree, but he did not allude to it being bipedal or anything even close to the sabe. A few weeks later, he got a response back. The facility said the animal he saw was a large cinnamon black bear and that they returned the hair sample. The hair enclosed in the response was a different sample. He compared the remainder of his original sample under a microscope to what they sent him. They returned him a tuft of black bear fur from a cinnamon bear. Under a microscope, the two samples looked completely different, so he knew the government was lying and covering it up, so he didn't press the issue and kept his mouth shut. This man knew bears exceptionally well. He had a few dogs for hunting black bears and has had to sew the dogs back together on several occasions, including sewing half his dog's tongue back in once. Youch! He knew what he saw, and it certainly was no bear. He finished out his career and retired, but kept an eye out from that day on. Thank you, Steve. Stay safe. Best of luck with the move to the new place, Ron. Okay, Ron, thanks for that share. And, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the DNA thing's already been done. There's people I know who have done it numerous times. It's been done. We all know the results. End of story. Moving along. I would not even be remotely curious as to where the other portion of hair is that he saved. I don't give a shit. It's obvious what's going to happen if you submit it to the wrong people. And even if you manage to get people you trust to do the DNA analysis, they submit it to the scientific community, it's going to get the gong. It's already been proven. Whoever the powers that be are, they will not allow this to be recognized at this time. They just won't, and they're going to put 10 times more effort in to stop us from succeeding in that physical proof for the public. It's just not going to happen. And that's why I always say, well, kick the pricks to the side. Who needs them? I don't give a shit. The people are the strongest force on the face of this planet. They just don't know it, the majority of them, right? That's why this channel is blowing off the frickin' charts. That's why there's around 7 million views a month of both my channels combined. It's because it's for the people by the people, right? Screw the people who snub the DNA. Screw them. Screw them. Kick them to the curb. They don't count. You stick with the people. We know what we know. We know what we see. The key is to keep speaking openly about it with confidence and sharing with each other. Obviously. Right? That's what we're doing. Look what it's doing for the topic. It is blowing it up. But that's what it would do for any topic on the face of the earth today. If the people are listened to, shit gets heard and shit gets real. If the people's voices get suppressed and we give that power to a small handful of people, well, we get screwed. That's all there is to it. But anyways, babbling a little bit. Moving along. Oh, I got so much stuff to do before we go. And obviously, by the time you guys hear this right now, I'm gone. I've been gone a while. But keep them coming. Keep them coming in. Share my story at howtohunt.com. Tell my story at howtohunt.com. Keep them coming in and keep the people talking. All right? Keep everybody talking. Nobody gets shut up. No more.